if I could do it all over again. On the plane back to finalize my divorce, Susan Cheng and I both died before the crash. As the oxygen masks dropped and the cabin filled with smoke, she gripped my hand, her voice trembling but resolute. Lenny, if I could do it all over again, I would marry Leo Liu. Only when I'm with him do I feel that life is vibrant. Then, darkness. Opening my eyes again, I was back to the day I proposed to her. The university sports field was packed with our classmates, friends, and family. A sea of roses spelled out, "Marry me, Susan." Asterisk. She stood there in her white dress, clutching the bouquet I'd given her, then suddenly, she threw it to the ground. Before I could react, she turned and ran toward Leo, who was standing at the front of the crowd in a sharp black suit, holding a single red rose. "Leo," she cried, throwing herself into his arms. "I will marry you." I knew then, she had been reborn too, just as she'd wished. I let them be. But later, she regretted it. The aftermath. Leo spun her around, his face alight with triumph. "I knew you would be mine," he declared, pressing a passionate kiss to her lips. The crowd erupted, some cheering, others confused. "Isn't Lenny supposed to propose to Susan today?" a classmate muttered. "How did it become Leo? Weren't they dating? Looks like Lenny got hijacked mid-proposal. TSK, what an embarrassment. He played the devoted fool for years and still got rejected." Susan finally pulled away from Leo, her cheeks flushed. She turned to the crowd, took the microphone from the stunned event organizer, and said, "Thank you all for witnessing our love today. I didn't know my true feelings before, but now I do. I've always loved Leo. I missed him before, but I don't want to miss him again in the future. I'm willing to spend the rest of my life with him, hand in hand, until we grow old." Then she looked at me, her voice calm, almost clinical. "Lenny, a forced relationship won't be happy. Our past was a mistake. I hope we can part amicably." The ringing in my ears from the plane explosion gradually faded. I was reborn to the day I was going to propose to Susan Cheng. The past life. In my previous life, looking at Susan in front of me and recalling her words in the last moments of our past existence, that if she could do it all over again, she would choose Leo, I knew she had also been reborn. Her eyes were exactly like they were when she was 38 in our previous life, calm, rational. Years of making decisive business decisions had made her mature and steady. But at this moment, we had just graduated from university. Susan and I had been dating for 4 years. We had once said we would get married after graduating, stepping into the next phase of life together. So I chose Valentine's Day, informed all our acquaintances, classmates, and friends, and set up a huge flower display on the sports field at night to propose to her. Actually, Leo Liu was also a reason for this proposal. Leo was a year ahead of us, the lead singer of a band, sunny, handsome, flamboyant, and unrestrained. He fell in love with Susan at first sight during the welcome party and repeatedly showed his affection for her, sending breakfast to her dorm, giving her gifts, deliberately creating opportunities for them to be alone during student council work. Even though he knew about my existence, he would say, "Anyway, you're not married yet. Life should be bold. When you meet someone you like, you should actively pursue them. How do you know who the right person is if you don't try?" Susan always treated him coldly, but Leo still smiled brightly and stuck to her side. Susan was annoyed, so she hinted to me to propose to her, to make Leo see that she was going to marry me and that she would never like him. In my previous life, when I proposed to Susan, Leo stood at the front of the crowd, wearing a suit and tie, holding a bouquet of roses, passionate and flamboyant. He shouted to Susan, "Susan, think carefully. If you really accept his proposal, we really won't be able to be together in the future. I'm asking you one last time, do you want to be with me or not?" In the previous life, Susan had said firmly, "The only husband I will ever have in this life is Lenny. I only love Lenny. I hope you will stop pestering me." But now, she said that our relationship was a mistake and asked me not to pester her. Facing the onlookers' curious gazes, I looked calmly at their tightly clasped hands. From this moment on, we are breaking up. From now on, we go our separate ways with no further connection. Hearing my words, Susan breathed a sigh of relief. Leo excitedly spun her around. "I knew you would be mine. But you took so long to agree to be with me, you have to make it up to me, all right. What compensation do you want? When you sing, I have to be in the audience listening, easy, no problem. You went to the mountains to confess and had a romantic day by the sea with Lenny, you have to go with me too, okay. I want you to post on your social media and tell everyone that you love me, no problem. Susan looked at him dotingly, as if gazing at a lost treasure found again. The crowd applauded, and someone shouted, "Kiss! Kiss! Kiss!" My roommates felt indignant on my behalf. Susan is really going too far. Isn't this cheating in public? She makes it sound so grand, saying she's finally understanding her own heart. What was she doing before? She had to wait until the proposal to break up, isn't this disgusting? Exactly. She gathered all the classmates here, it was supposed to be a proposal for her, but she broke up with him in front of everyone and seamlessly moved on to the next guy. What a total player. I turned to them and said, let's go. Didn't you say there's a bar opening today? Come on, it's my treat. They watched me drink one glass after another with a calm expression. They were worried and advised me to move on, saying there was no need to be sad over such a woman. If you can say goodbye, you can find someone better. I smiled and put my arms around them. I'm actually happy. Leaving her truly made me happy. The truth of our past. Susan and I were neighbors, childhood sweethearts. Our families were well matched, and a marriage alliance between wealthy families was inevitable. We were automatically paired together by our families, encouraging and supporting each other, promising to start dating when we got into college and to marry after graduation. Everything went according to plan in our previous life. After marriage, our lives gradually became filled with work, daily chores, and raising children. Our feelings for each other slowly faded. Susan repeatedly said that life was lacking in passion, too smooth, too uninteresting. At that time, Leo had become a somewhat famous rock singer. His passionate, unrestrained performances at music festivals often captivated Susan. She would repeatedly watch even just a video of him. Later, she deliberately found excuses to get close to him. Leo, at that time, lived a life of instant gratification, a staunch non-believer in marriage, frequently changing girlfriends. One intentionally approached the other, both were carefree and unrestrained. Adults don't need many words, and they engaged in a relationship several times. When I found out, I naturally questioned her. But she said, "You can also find other women, and we can each do our own thing without interfering with each other." Looking at her with different eyes, no longer having the tenderness and affection she once had for me, and her neglect of our children at home, I was exhausted and proposed a divorce. At first, she didn't agree, as the division of our property would be troublesome. But in the end, she relented under my insistence. She looked at me with a mocking gaze. As expected, being with a carefree person is the most fulfilling. These 2 weeks with Leo have brought me more joy than my entire life with you. The unrestrained passion I never had in my youth, I finally have it now. You, raised in a wealthy family, always following the rules, your mind is always rational, your heart only cares about profit and loss. You will never understand what a passionate, unrestrained life is like. I only felt surprised that I hadn't realized how foolishly naive she was before. She thought she had grasped the true meaning of life, unaware that without a solid material foundation, even the most unrestrained life is like a castle built on shifting sand, easily blown away by the wind. Having drunk too much, I went to the restroom again. On the way, I passed a private room with a door not fully closed. I happened to hear someone ask Susan, "What you did in the field today was really unexpected. I heard you and Lenny were childhood sweethearts, do you really not like him anymore?" Susan took a drag from her cigarette and blew out a smoke ring. Childhood sweethearts. It's just because we grew up together and our parents pushed us together. I thought I liked him, but it's just the affection of ordinary friends. His personality, to put it nicely, is rational and calm, but to put it bluntly, it's rigid and boring. After a while, it becomes very tiresome. Then who do you really like? Susan wrapped her arm around Leo. Leo, of course. The hallway was narrow, and someone bumped into me as they passed by. The open door was accidentally pushed open by me, and the people inside fell silent as they looked at me. Susan stubbed out her cigarette in the ashtray and frowned at me. Didn't we already agree to break up? Are you not going to pester me? What are you doing here now? Watching her expertly blow smoke rings, I didn't even know when she had learned to smoke. But it no longer mattered to me. Leo immediately gave Susan a passionate French kiss, wrapping his arm around her neck, staking his claim. I told you, you never know the ending until the end. Now Susan has chosen me. You're not thinking of taking her back, are you? Susan patted his shoulder comfortingly. Don't worry. Even if he begged me, I wouldn't go back to him. I couldn't help but laugh. These two were really a good match, both equally narcissistic. Don't worry, I'm not the kind of person to go back to old flames. The moment I turned to leave, I saw Susan's face darken for a split second. The feelings that had been worn away long ago in the previous life were now completely gone. Now, seeing them together, I no longer felt any turmoil. As I turned, a soft body collided into my arms. I instinctively grabbed the person's shoulders. The person was wearing a spaghetti strap dress, and their shoulders were smooth and delicate. I felt like I had been electrocuted and immediately withdrew my hands. Looking down, I saw Xiao Wanru, the heiress of the Xiao family from the northern part of the city. She was the same age as me but had been studying abroad. She had just finished her studies this year and taken over the family business. In the dimly lit bar, she was wearing a red spaghetti strap dress. Her skin was fair, and her beautiful face, combined with the dim lighting, was extremely eye-catching. She looked up at me, seeming to realize that she was still leaning against my chest. She awkwardly coughed and stepped back apologetically. At this moment, someone in the private room spoke again. Actually, Lenny is quite handsome, Susan. Are you sure you're willing to let him go? How many times do I have to say it? I get annoyed just looking at his honest and dull personality. Let me ask a private question, have you two, done it? Susan sneered. He's very conservative. He insists on waiting until we're engaged to have a relationship. Boring and rigid. Leo's dissatisfied voice came through. If you had successfully proposed tonight, wouldn't you have given your first time to him? Hey, don't be angry, it didn't happen, right? To celebrate us being together, how about we go to my place tonight? That's more like it, your first time can only be mine. Susan's lips curled into a smile. Her face, flushed from alcohol, looked at me with endless charm. Her voice was gentle. I heard you broke up. Are you single now? I nodded indifferently and was about to turn and leave. Wanru, who had just regained her balance, swayed again and almost fell. I quickly caught her. Are you okay? She leaned against my chest for a while, shook her head, and then threw up with a whoosh. I'm sorry. I had a bit too much to drink. I sighed softly. It's okay. Where are your friends? I'll take you to them. She leaned against me and said she came alone. She asked me to take her upstairs to a room because it wasn't a good idea to go back in this condition. I frowned, thinking she was a girl. It was late, she was drunk, and we had business dealings with the Xiao family. After thinking for a moment, I picked her up in a bridal carry and headed upstairs. At the same time, I stopped the passing waiter, gave him a tip, and asked him to find someone to clean up the mess. Before she went to freshen up, I asked for her clothes and shoe sizes. She looked at me in surprise. I said, you can't wear your dress anymore. I'll order some clothes from a delivery service. She smiled gently and told me her sizes. I quickly wrote them down and placed the order. At this time, my roommate called, saying that the dorm curfew was approaching and it was time to go back. I could only briefly explain the situation and ask them to go back first. I would get a room at the hotel later. Wanru quickly finished freshening up and came out. I looked at her in a bathrobe, surprised. Even without makeup, her skin was fair and flawless, and her eyes were still strikingly beautiful. Water droplets flowed down her collarbone. I didn't dare to look any longer and hurried into the bathroom. I quickly got ready and came out. The delivery guy had already brought the clothes. I handed her the clothes and said it was very late, she could rest here. She asked me what I would do. I said the dorm was already locked, so I would go downstairs and get another room. She looked at me and said she had just gone downstairs to ask while I was showering, but the hotel was fully booked. I was surprised. How could that be? She smiled and asked, "Today is Valentine's Day, you didn't know?" I suddenly remembered and awkwardly slapped my forehead. She told me to stay here and said she would take the couch. I said the dorm was already locked, so I would go downstairs and get another room. She looked at me and said, "It's too late now. This room has a double bed, you can stay here too." She paused and then said, "Anyway, you don't have a girlfriend, and I don't have a boyfriend, or are you afraid I'll take advantage of you?" I immediately replied, "How could I? I'm just worried about your reputation." She smiled. "Why? Neither of us is married, what's the big deal? At worst, we can actually become a couple. You're so handsome, it wouldn't be a loss for me." I hesitated as she spoke again. "I'm not feeling well today. We were high school classmates after all, would you keep me company? I'm a bit scared to be alone." Looking at the pleading in her eyes, I couldn't help but soften. Checking my phone, it was indeed very late, and if I went home, my parents would surely ask about the proposal. So we each took a bed. I suddenly remembered that in my previous life, she never married, though she led the company to great success. There were always rumors in our circle that she didn't like men, though no one knew if that was true. With the lights off, one's senses become sharper. I tried to close my eyes when suddenly I heard some intimate sounds coming through the wall, instantly reminding me that hotels were full on Valentine's Day. Soon, a gentle voice asked softly, "Are you asleep?" No. There was a rustling sound, and a soft, full body pressed against mine. I tried to push her away, but she wrapped her legs around my waist and held me. I nervously swallowed. "Miss Xiao, are you drunk?" She breathed softly in my ear. "I'm very clear-headed. I've never had a boyfriend, and I'm still a virgin. Do you want to try with me?" My mind exploded. "Do you know what you're saying?" Her hands caressed my body. "I'm very clear. I like you and want to be your girlfriend. Will you accept me?" Having had too much to drink, with the intimate sounds from next door, plus the hands igniting fire on my body, and hearing that tender voice, my body tensed. "Are you sure you want to date me?" "I'm sure." I flipped over to take control, kissing her soothingly. "Then let's try. Be my girlfriend, and I'll gradually come to like you." She held my neck tightly and said, "Okay." A night of passion. The next morning, I looked at the alluring face in my arms, thinking of her confession. I felt a bit regretful, I might have been impulsive last night. But now that I was sober, I realized I didn't dislike her. I even liked her directness and honesty. Seeing her wake up with confusion in her eyes, then remembering last night and immediately hiding her embarrassed face under the covers, I saw she wasn't angry. I felt relieved. Taking her hand, I asked seriously, "Wanru, we were both drinking yesterday, so I want to ask again, were you serious about liking me?" She pulled down the covers and looked at me seriously. Of course I was serious. "Actually, I've liked you since high school, but you liked Susan, so I never dared confess. When I heard your proposal failed last night, honestly, I was quite happy. I found out you were at the bar, so I came." I was stunned to hear this. I never knew she had been secretly in love with me. She looked at me with both shyness and determination. "I like you. Yesterday was my choice. I know you don't like me, and I won't cling to you. Don't worry." Seeing the determination in her eyes made my heart race. Though I had just confirmed breaking up with Susan yesterday, and in my previous life, our feelings had long faded, I hadn't felt my heart flutter like this in many years. I said to her solemnly, "Right now, I might not like you as much as you like me, but you're wonderful and excellent. I believe I'll definitely come to like you more and more. So would you be my girlfriend and give me this chance?" Her eyes sparkled and gradually filled with tears. "Yes, I will." The public breakup. We ran into Susan and Leo at the university the next day. Susan blocked our path. "Where were you last night?" "That's my business, Miss Sue." "You're overstepping." Her face turned ugly. "Someone saw you go up to a hotel with a woman yesterday." "Is that her?" I said calmly. "Who I'm with is my freedom. If I remember correctly, we broke up yesterday, and this is my girlfriend, Xiao Wanru." Susan stepped forward to slap me. You went to a hotel with another woman right after we broke up. Are you doing this to spite me? I frowned and blocked her arm. You've misunderstood. I have no feelings for you anymore, and I wouldn't deliberately try to spite you. Being with my girlfriend yesterday was completely out of genuine feelings. Please be mindful of your words in the future and don't say things that might cause misunderstandings for my girlfriend or your boyfriend. Hearing this, Leo's expression changed. He shook off Susan's arm. Who he wants to go to a hotel with is his business. Why do you care so much? Could it be that you still have feelings for him? Susan glared at me fiercely, then pulled his arm and coaxed him. I only cared because we're neighbors. My feelings for you are as clear as day, you're the only one in my heart now. Why else would I have chosen you in front of so many people yesterday? Susan looked at me disdainfully. Don't get me wrong either. I brought up breaking up yesterday because I was just worried that you might not be able to handle it and would do something rash, like finding someone else just to get back at me. As long as that's not the case. I chuckled coldly. Sometimes it's better not to be too narcissistic. You're not the only woman in the world. You've started a new life, and naturally, I'll have a new girlfriend too. Ignoring her furrowed brows, I took Xiaowanru's hand and walked away. Narcissistic and a hypocrite. Just because Leo had been chasing her for 2 years, did she think she was irresistible? Wanru's eyes were sparkling as she looked at me. You said I'm your girlfriend. Seeing myself reflected in your eyes, it seems you really like me. I tapped her nose. Yes, I said I would be responsible for you. Besides, you're beautiful, smart, capable, and have a great personality, it's hard not to like you. I kissed the back of her hand. I'm already starting to like you a lot, and I'll like you more and more in the future. She excitedly hugged me. I'm so happy. I've been waiting for this day for so long. I stroked her hair, and the flame of love reignited in my heart. The talk of the school. The talk around school about the dramatic proposal on Valentine's Day slowly faded. Susan and Leo's popularity gradually increased. They rode his bike with her on the back, enjoying the summer breeze on campus like the protagonists of a campus romance drama. They kissed on the mountaintop, vowing to love each other forever. They rode a motorcycle on the highway late at night, feeling the thrill of speed. They sang loudly on the beach at night, feeling the freedom of life. They got tattoos of each other's initials on their waists to express their intense love. Leo had already gained some fans on social media for his singing. In addition, he often posted couple photos, couple videos, and passionate love captions, which attracted a lot of attention. Many people said they were a perfect match, like the main characters in a novel. And Susan, as she had hoped in her previous life, finally had a passionate, unrestrained, and free-spirited youth. When Susan posted a photo with Leo on her social media, both families learned the whole story. My parents were furious. I could only console them, saying it was better to have things out in the open now than to have an affair after getting married. Besides, I had no feelings for Susan now, they didn't need to worry about this. And now I have a new girlfriend. My mother looked at me with relief and nodded. You've always been rational. It's good that you can handle this situation clearly. But who is this new girlfriend? Do I know her? I said I would ask my girlfriend's opinion. My father pondered. It seems we need to change our partner for the project in the north. I remained silent because, in my previous life, Susan and I were a couple, and both families prioritized each other in business collaborations. In my previous life, the project in the north was given to the Sue family, but I knew that the Sue family wasn't the most suitable choice. It was just because of my relationship with Susan that we thought it was better to keep it in the family and strengthen the relationship between our families. But in this life, since we wouldn't become family, it was only about choosing the partner with the most significant benefits. I had been interning at the company during my university years, so I quickly adapted after graduation. Besides daily work, I often attended business banquets to gain experience and build connections. This weekend, I attended an elder's 80th birthday party. After greeting my father and several other elders, I went to a quiet side to rest for a bit. At this time, Susan's older sister came over with a glass of wine. I didn't expect my sister to break up with you. I said lightly, our fate just ended. She took a sip of her wine, her eyes appraising. I heard that President Lin's project in the north of the city still hasn't found a partner. I shook my head. I don't know. My father is in charge of this matter. She seemed to understand something and let out a soft laugh. My dear sister really threw away a good hand. She lost the watermelon and might not even be able to pick up a sesame seed. I remained noncommittal. She looked at me with a teasing smile. Speaking of which, I'm only 2 years older than you. If you want a marriage alliance, we can also cooperate. How about it? I politely declined, saying that I already had a girlfriend, and made an excuse that I wanted to be alone for a while to send her away. Just then, a soft and teasing voice came from the side. Our young master Lenny is quite popular. Looking at Xiao Wanru, who was wearing a strapless dress with red lips and snow-white skin, my eyes lit up. No matter how popular I was hers. She took my shoulder and said with a smile. Good awareness, boyfriend. I held her hand tightly. Her skin was fair, and her almond-shaped eyes were shining. She was beautiful and gorgeous, while Susan was the cold type. Seeing me looking at her, she asked, puzzled. Why are you staring at me? Is there something on my face? I leaned close to her ear. It's because you're too beautiful. I can't take my eyes off you. I found that I liked her more and more. Her face instantly turned red, but she still said calmly. Then you have to like me more and more, okay? She bit her lip and looked at me uneasily. Just now, Susan's sister said she wanted a marriage alliance with your family. What do you think? I raised my eyebrows and deliberately teased her. Of course I want to marry my girlfriend. Besides, our family doesn't need a marriage alliance. I can still manage the company well, or are you saying that you only want to be in a relationship with me and don't want to marry me? She stomped her feet anxiously. Of course not. I mean, if you want a marriage alliance, you can also choose me. Our family is no worse than Susan's. I looked at her seriously. I want to marry you because I like you, not because of a marriage alliance for benefits. Wealthy families often use marriage alliances to strengthen relationships, but the same goes for prosperity and loss. Interest can make people cooperate, and interest can also make people break up. Besides, I know my own abilities. Even without a marriage alliance, the company can still develop steadily. Xiao Wanru held my hand tightly. I knew it. I didn't like the wrong person. I was about to say something more when a burst of whispers came from afar. I turned my head to look, only to find that Susan had come. Not only had she come, but she also came with Leo. The two of them must have just returned from riding their motorcycle. They were still in their motorcycle gear, which was out of place with the suits and dresses of everyone else present. Susan's father was whispering to her, his expression very angry. Leo, on the other hand, casually pulled Susan's arm, looking around. Are you hungry? Didn't you just eat fried noodles? Susan led Leo over. It's not like I've ever attended a wealthy family's banquet before. I want to see if the food at a rich person's banquet is better. All right, as you wish. The two were intimate as if no one else was around. Someone nearby couldn't stand it anymore. This is how you dress for a banquet. It shows respect. You, on the other hand, are wearing motorcycle gear, your hair is all messed up, it's too disrespectful to come here like this. Leo touched his hair. This is my casual style. The old man whose birthday it is just now praised us young people for being youthful and energetic, saying that we are sincere and frank. But you guys, don't you get tired of pretending like this every day? As soon as these words came out, the people who heard them looked at him with anger, and along with it, at Susan. Susan blocked Leo behind her, her eyes looking down on them. Leo is sincere and straightforward. I hope everyone won't mind, but what he said is right. In her previous life, she sat in a high position, and everyone flattered her. Even if she was cold, no one would say anything. But now, she hadn't even joined the family company yet, and her cold tone immediately drew disapproval from those around her. Someone of the same age asked Susan. What do you even like about him? Lenny is clearly better in terms of family background, looks, and ability. Susan first frowned at me. Lenny is good, but in my eyes, Leo is the best. Then she took Leo's hand and said that what she loved most about him was his frankness and passion, and that she felt relaxed and happy with him. Leo even boldly gave her a passionate kiss right there and then. This made everyone around them very uncomfortable. To do such an indecent thing in such a formal setting was truly inappropriate. Someone mocked. Are they acting out a romantic drama? I heard that after the banquet, Susan's father gave her a big scolding. He told her to apologize to me and make up with me, as I was the only one who could help her career. Susan refused, and they parted on bad terms. I was relieved. Susan was already blacklisted in my book, so she should just stay with Leo. Please don't come back to me, or I'll be too disgusted to sleep. My father finally chose to cooperate with the Xiao family on the Northern City project, and coincidentally, the Xiao family sent Xiao Wanru to follow up on the project. My father praised Xiao Wanru's workability to the skies. Therefore, when I brought Wanru home for dinner, my parents were very satisfied with her. We both excelled in our respective companies, kept in touch regularly, and our relationship progressed rapidly. After 2 years of dating, I arranged a grand proposal scene, invited relatives and friends from both sides, and proposed to Wanru. She accepted with tears in her eyes, and we embraced happily. During these 2 years, Susan and Leo continued to live a carefree life. They got married half a year after they started dating and even live-streamed their wedding on social media. Leo, who was a non-believer in marriage in the previous life, married Susan, and Susan, as she said in the previous life, married the passionate and flamboyant Leo. We had different pursuits and lived the life we wanted. I thought that was the end. However, life is like a collection of mistakes, and there will always be someone who overturns everything they have done before. The breakup. Susan had already started working in the company, and Leo became a rock singer. I heard from friends that they broke up and got back together several times. As their fan base grew, coupled with Susan's status, their relationship often made headlines. But recently, news of their breakup had been persistent. Someone captured a picture of Susan and Leo arguing, another person released a video of Leo dancing intimately with other women in a bar. I just treated it as gossip and moved on to focus on my work and wedding preparations. One day after work, Xiao Wanru was holding my hand and walking me out when an unexpected number called. I answered the phone and heard the person on the other end tell me to look to the side. Susan Cheng was standing there, holding her phone and looking at me. Wanru tightened her grip on my hand, and I patted her hand reassuringly. Wait for me. It should be work-related. I'll be back soon. We were in the same circle and had met Susan a few times, mostly at work. She kissed my forehead as if to assert her ownership, and I couldn't help but smile. Only when I walked up to Susan did I smell the strong scent of smoke on her. I looked at her indifferently. Miss Sue, it's better to contact me during working hours for work-related matters. She curled her lips and looked at me. How have you been lately? I raised an eyebrow. Pretty good. It seemed she wasn't here to talk about work, so I had no reason to stay. I was about to say goodbye and leave when she took out another cigarette and lit it. I haven't been doing too well. From her outpouring, I learned that since she joined the company after graduation, she had less time to spend with Leo. But Leo still went out with friends frequently, having fun and living a free life. Sometimes he would get close to other women, and Susan would naturally question him, leading to more frequent arguments. Leo said that Susan didn't spend time with him, and Susan said that Leo didn't understand her burden of supporting the family. Leo said that one should enjoy life while they can, so why bother making so much money? What's the point of wealth if you can't take it with you? Although Susan loved a free and passionate life, she wanted a wealthy, passionate, and free life even more. When she was in school, she had family support, but now that she had graduated, she had to earn her own living expenses. Moreover, Susan had an older sister and 2 younger brothers, 2 of whom were illegitimate children acknowledged by old Master Su and brought into the Su family. The internal strife was also fierce. Susan was mediocre in ability. In the previous life, she had the support of my family, which allowed her to control most of the power in the group. This time, without my help, even with the memories of her previous life, her situation was not good. She smiled mockingly. I was just so frustrated and wanted to talk to someone. I didn't expect to end up here. Do you think I'm a failure now? I said lightly. Everyone has their own life and path they want to take. Since you chose this path, whether it's a success or failure depends on how you see it. How you are now has nothing to do with me. I have a fiancée now. Next time you want someone to talk to, you should find someone else. I was about to leave when my phone rang. I looked at the protagonist from the live broadcast just now, frowned, and answered. The breathing on the other end was heavy. Lenny. I regret it. Can we get back together? My heart skipped a beat. Her tone was very off. Susan, there's no more feeling between us. Don't say such things anymore. But in the last life, I was your wife. We are the ones who should be together. My heart skipped a beat again. Her voice was gentle but with a hint of madness. That's possible, but let Wanru go first. She glanced at me, then smiled somewhat crazily. You're lying. If I let her go, you won't be with me, right? She stood up, continuing to smile nonchalantly. It doesn't matter if you don't agree, Lenny. Do you know about past and present lives? In the previous life, we were husband and wife. We lived very happily, had both sons and daughters, and were the envy of everyone. Everything in this life is a mistake. Now I want to reset everything back to the original. My heart skipped a beat. What do you mean? Susan looked at her watch and said there were still 30 minutes before they could start over. I looked at the time on my phone and suddenly remembered that the plane crash in the previous life was 30 minutes away. I looked at Susan in horror. You're crazy. Susan, you already chose the life you wanted. If it's not going well, do you want to risk your life to be reborn? Do you know when I was reborn? It was exactly when you were proposing to me. If it had been successful, we would be married now, we would be very happy. I smiled coldly. Would we really be happy? If we were really together smoothly, you would probably be thinking about Leo again, wouldn't you? Her eyes were a bit crazy, but this time it won't happen. This time, we will go back to the beginning together, start over. This time, I promise I will spend the rest of my life with you. I calmed down first, using myself to swap with Wanru. Susan threw a syringe on the ground and told me to inject it into my body. She said it would only make me weak, otherwise, she wouldn't be as strong as me. I took a deep breath and directly injected the syringe into my body. I slowly walked toward her. I didn't know what kind of medicine was in this, but my body gradually felt weak. Only then did Susan push Wanru away and hold my hand, her eyes gentle but with a hint of madness. There are 10 minutes left. If we jump together, we can start over. The police hidden behind the door rushed out and helped Wanru untie the ropes. At this moment, Leo rushed out. Susan. I knew you still had feelings for Lenny. What are you trying to do, die for love now or what? Susan glanced at Leo and sneered. Looking back now, the days I spent with you seemed happy but were actually quite boring. It was nothing but drinking and clubbing, meaningless. Leo also sneered. Then why didn't you break up? Now you say it's meaningless, weren't you the one who played the hardest back then? Now that you're tired of it, you say it's meaningless. I really regret marrying you. If I could do it over, I would stay far away from you. Susan nodded. That's well said. I just want to start over. She glanced at the time and muttered, it's up. My heart skipped a beat. Susan, even if I could start over, I would never choose you. She laughed loudly. That's not up to you. With that, she pushed me down and jumped down after me. Fortunately, before coming, I had already called the police. The police had used a drone to survey the situation on the rooftop and placed a safety airbag below, along with an ambulance. We fell onto the safety airbag. Susan Cheng cursed madly. You bastards. Who told you to save me? Why did you save me? I stayed in the hospital for half a month. Fortunately, the drug in the syringe was not very harmful. Susan was diagnosed with a mental disorder by the doctor and was sent to a mental hospital for treatment by her family. Leo kept going to the Su family's house, making a scene and demanding a divorce. Finally, the Su family intervened and dissolved their marriage. Half a month later, my wedding with Xiao Wanru took place as scheduled. Later, we had 2 children, one with her surname, and one with mine. We walked hand in hand, year after year. Those who give their hearts sincerely receive a sincere return. The end.